Galaxy redshift. When you look up at the night sky, the universe appears static. The stars seem fixed, the constellations unchanged since the dawn of human civilization. For thousands of years, the greatest minds in history, from Aristotle to Isaac Newton, and even Albert Einstein in his early years, believed the universe was eternal, infinite, and fundamentally unchanging. But in the 1910s and 1920s, that comforting illusion was violently shattered by a piece of technology called a spectrograph and the meticulous observations of astronomers like Vesto Slipher and Edwin Hubble. They weren't just looking at the light from distant nebulae, they were splitting that light into its constituent colors, analyzing the cosmic barcodes hidden within. When light passes through the atmosphere of a star or a galaxy, the chemical elements within absorb specific wavelengths, leaving dark gaps or lines in the spectrum. These lines are supposed to sit at precise, fixed mathematical intervals. But when Slipher and Hubble analyzed the spectra of distant galaxies, they found something deeply unsettling. The lines were in the right pattern, but they were in the wrong place. They were shifted toward the red end of the electromagnetic spectrum. This phenomenon is known as the Doppler effect. Just as an ambulance siren drops in pitch as it speeds away from you because the sound waves are being stretched out, light waves from an object moving away from you are stretched into longer, redder wavelengths. The realization was immediate and profound. The galaxies were not stationary, they were moving away from us. But Hubble discovered something even more shocking. The further away a galaxy was, the more its light was redshifted, meaning it was moving away much faster than the closer galaxies. This wasn't just a random drifting of stars in the void. It was a coordinated mathematical retreat. Every distant galaxy in every direction was flying away from us. This observation completely dismantled the steady-state eternal universe. It proved that the cosmos is dynamic, evolving, and in motion. And it laid the absolute foundation for the Big Bang theory, forcing humanity to confront the terrifying reality that the universe has not always been the way it is today. Number 6. Cosmic expansion. Understanding galaxy redshift naturally leads to a secondary, far more mind-bending conclusion. When people hear that all the galaxies are moving away from us, the immediate assumption is that Earth must be at the exact center of a cosmic explosion, with debris flying outward through pre-existing empty space. But this is a fundamental misunderstanding of physics. The galaxies are not moving through space. Space itself is expanding. According to Albert Einstein's general theory of relativity, space is not a static, empty void. It is a dynamic, malleable fabric. Imagine baking a loaf of raisin bread. As the dough rises and expands in the oven, every single raisin moves further away from every other raisin. From the perspective of any one raisin, all the others seem to be flying away. There is no center to the expansion, and there is no edge. The fabric of reality is stretching in all directions simultaneously. This metric expansion of space is what causes the cosmological redshift. The light from distant galaxies isn't just stretched by the speed of the galaxy. The light wave itself is physically stretched out as the space it travels through expands over billions of years. But the truly terrifying implication of cosmic expansion is what happens when you run the film backward. If space is expanding today, it means the universe was smaller yesterday. 1,000,000 years ago, it was smaller still. If you rewind the clock billions of years, logic and mathematics dictate that the entire observable universe, all the hundreds of billions of galaxies, all the stars, all the planets, all the vast emptiness of the cosmic voids, must have been compressed into an infinitesimally small, unimaginably dense, and infinitely hot point. A singularity. The realization of cosmic expansion means the universe didn't just happen in space. Space itself was born in the Big Bang. Number 5. Cosmic microwave background. In 1965, two radio astronomers named Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson were working at Bell Labs in New Jersey, using a massive, super-sensitive piece of equipment known as the Holmdel Horn antenna. Their goal was to map radio signals from the Milky Way, but they had a problem. No matter where they pointed the antenna, no matter what time of day or night it was, they picked up a persistent, low-frequency background noise. A relentless, hissing static. They thought it was interference. They checked radar systems from nearby military bases. They aimed the antenna at New York City. They even climbed inside the massive horn and painstakingly scraped out what they politely called white dielectric material, pigeon droppings. But the static remained. It was uniform, completely isotropic, and it possessed a temperature of roughly 3 degrees above absolute zero. At the exact same time, just a few miles away at Princeton University, a team of theoretical physicists, led by Robert Dicke, was frantically building an antenna to look for a very specific theoretical signal. They had calculated that if the Big Bang actually happened, the initial explosion would have been so hot and dense that the entire universe would have been a blinding, opaque plasma. It wasn't until about 380,000 years after the Big Bang that the universe expanded and cooled enough for protons to capture electrons, forming the first hydrogen atoms. In that moment, an event called the recombination era, the fog lifted, and the very first burst of light was allowed to travel freely through the cosmos. The Princeton team knew that as the universe expanded over billions of years, that ancient blinding light would be stretched out into long, invisible microwaves, blanketing the entire sky in a faint, cold glow. When Dicke heard about the mysterious static at Bell Labs, he reportedly put down the phone and told his team, "Boys, we've been scooped." Penzias and Wilson had accidentally discovered the cosmic microwave background, the literal afterglow of creation. If you are old enough to remember analog television sets, a small percentage of the black and white static you saw on a dead channel was actually this exact radiation hitting the antenna. The discovery of the CMB was the smoking gun. It proved that the universe was once in an unbelievably hot, dense state, effectively killing off rival theories of an eternal universe and securing the Big Bang as the definitive origin story of reality. Number 4. Light element abundances. If you want to prove how the universe began, you have to look at what the universe is made of. When you examine the cosmos on a grand scale, you find a very specific, stubborn recipe. Everywhere we look, the universe is composed of roughly 74% hydrogen, 24% helium, and trace amounts of lithium and heavier elements. This exact ratio is not a coincidence. It is an irrefutable mathematical fingerprint left behind by the extreme conditions of the early universe. Before any stars existed to forge heavy elements like carbon, oxygen, or iron, the universe itself acted as the ultimate nuclear reactor. For a brief, violently intense window of time, starting a few seconds after the Big Bang and ending just 3 minutes later, the entire universe was hotter than the core of our sun. This period is known as Big Bang nucleosynthesis. During these critical 3 minutes, the universe was a superheated soup of protons and neutrons, constantly slamming into one another. It was hot enough for them to fuse together to create helium, but the universe was also expanding at an incomprehensible rate. After just 3 minutes, the expansion caused the universe to cool down so rapidly that the nuclear fusion process was abruptly cut off. The cosmic forge was extinguished. When theoretical physicists run the calculations of how much hydrogen and helium should have been created in a rapidly expanding, cooling universe, given exactly 3 minutes of fusion, the math perfectly predicts a ratio of about 75% hydrogen to 25% helium. To test this, modern astronomers look at the oldest, most pristine, unpolluted gas clouds in the furthest reaches of the universe, clouds that have never been contaminated by the life cycles of stars. When they measure the elemental makeup of these ancient clouds, they find the exact 75 to 25 ratio predicted by the math. This is a devastating piece of evidence. Stars produce helium through fusion, but the math proves that all the stars in the history of the universe combined have not had enough time to produce the vast quantities of helium we see today. The only way this much helium can exist is if the entire universe was once a single, universal fusion reactor. The elemental building blocks of reality match the Big Bang's blueprints flawlessly. Number 3. Large-scale structure. When we zoom out past our solar system, past the Milky Way, and past our local galactic cluster, the universe reveals a deeply unsettling architecture. Galaxies are not scattered randomly through space like dust in the wind. They are organized. They form massive, glowing filaments and densely packed nodes, separated by unfathomably immense, dark voids spanning hundreds of millions of light-years. This is known as the cosmic web. It is the largest structure in existence, and its very shape is proof of the explosive quantum mechanics of the Big Bang. The problem scientists faced was this: if the Big Bang was a perfectly uniform, perfectly smooth expansion of space, the universe today should be completely smooth. Matter should be evenly distributed everywhere. There should be no stars, no galaxies, no planets, and no life. So how did a smooth explosion create a clumpy universe? The answer lies in a theory called cosmic inflation. Physicists calculate that in the first fraction of a second after the Big Bang, between 10 to the negative 36th and 10 to the negative 32nd seconds, the universe expanded at an exponential, terrifying rate, growing by a factor of 10 to the 26th in less than a blink of an eye. Before this inflation happened, the universe was small enough that the subatomic rules of quantum mechanics applied to the entire cosmos. In the quantum realm, nothing is perfectly still. Energy constantly bubbles and fluctuates in random microscopic variations. When cosmic inflation hit, it took these microscopic subatomic quantum ripples and instantly stretched them to macrocosmic universal proportions. These tiny variations in energy were frozen into the fabric of space itself. Regions with slightly higher energy became regions with slightly more mass. Over 13.8 billion years, gravity took hold of these incredibly slight variations, pulling dark matter and normal matter into the denser regions, eventually igniting the first stars and forming the galaxies along these ancient fault lines. When you look at a map of the cosmic web today, you are not just looking at galaxies. You are looking at a fossilized photograph of microscopic quantum fluctuations that existed just a fraction of a second after the beginning of time, blown up to the size of infinity. The structure of the universe is a physical manifestation of the Big Bang's earliest, most violent moments. Number 2. The universe's finite age. There is a fundamental rule of logic when investigating a timeline. You cannot have a child who is older than their mother. In cosmology, this means that nothing inside the universe can be older than the universe itself. If the Big Bang theory is correct, the universe had a definitive starting point, and therefore, it must have a calculable, finite age. Furthermore, the oldest objects within the cosmos must fit perfectly inside that timeline. By measuring the cosmic expansion rate, a metric known as the Hubble constant, and working backward, cosmologists have calculated the age of the universe to be approximately 13.8 billion years. This gives us a hard limit. If we find a star that is 15 billion or 20 billion years old, the Big Bang theory completely collapses. It would mean our models of an expanding, finite cosmos are entirely wrong. So, astronomers set out to find the oldest things in existence. They look at globular clusters, massive, ancient spheres of tightly packed stars orbiting the halos of galaxies. By measuring the mass and luminosity of the stars, turning off the main sequence in these clusters, scientists can determine exactly when the cluster formed. They also look at white dwarfs, the dead, cooling embers of ancient stars. Because white dwarfs no longer generate heat through fusion, they slowly cool down over billions of years at a predictable mathematical rate. By finding the coldest, dimmest white dwarfs, we can calculate how long they have been cooling. The results of these exhaustive, independent studies are stunning. The oldest globular clusters are calculated to be around 12 to 13 billion years old. The oldest white dwarfs have been cooling for roughly the same amount of time. Adding the time it takes for a star to form after the Big Bang, the age of the oldest objects in the universe comes out to just over 13 billion years. There is no star out there that is 15 billion years old. There is no white dwarf that has been cooling for 20 billion years. The biological clock of the cosmos aligns with absolute, terrifying precision. The oldest structures in the universe fit flawlessly inside the 13.8 billion year window provided by the Big Bang expansion models. This convergence of independent dating methods, one based on the expansion of space and the other based on the nuclear physics of stars, is a monumental triumph of modern science, proving that the universe had a definitive, finite beginning. Number 1. The CMB blackbody spectrum. While the discovery of the cosmic microwave background in 1965 proved that a residual heat existed, it was the exact mathematical nature of that heat that would deliver the final, unarguable proof of the Big Bang. Theoretical physicists established a rigid standard. If the universe truly started from a singularity, it must have been in a state of absolute, perfect thermal equilibrium. The radiation left over from this state cannot be just any random microwave static. It must conform perfectly to a specific thermodynamic signature known as a blackbody spectrum. A blackbody is an idealized physical body that absorbs all incident electromagnetic radiation and emits energy according to a strict mathematical curve based solely on its temperature. If the radiation of the universe did not match this curve, the Big Bang theory would be severely compromised, leaving room for alternative explanations like tired light or a steady-state universe. In 1989, NASA launched the Cosmic Background Explorer, or COBE, satellite into orbit to measure the CMB without the interference of Earth's atmosphere. Aboard the satellite was an incredibly sensitive instrument called the Far Infrared Absolute Spectrophotometer, designed to measure the exact spectrum of the cosmic background radiation. In January 1990, astronomer John Mather stood before the American Astronomical Society to present the first data from COBE. When he projected the graph onto the screen, the room of seasoned scientists fell into a stunned silence, followed by a standing ovation. The data points from the satellite did not just resemble a blackbody curve. They matched it with a level of precision that was almost frightening. The data plotted a flawless, perfectly smooth curve, peaking at exactly 2.725 Kelvin. The error bars on the graph were so small that they had to be magnified by a factor of 400 just to be visible to the human eye. This graph is widely considered one of the most important images in the history of science. It represents the most perfect blackbody spectrum ever measured in nature. A curve this perfect is a mathematical impossibility under any other cosmological model. It cannot be